Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm dressed a little different today, I know. This is actually a Hindu wedding dress now don't start crying, Diane. Nobody's getting married that I know of. And where's Diane? Where's Diane? Where are you? Back there? Okay. Also, I know every time you hear the word legend, you start to cringe. I see it. You're a living legend. Remember that. You're a living legend. Yeah. Yep. We're not trying to usher you out. Okay. So today's our, in honor of this outfit. See, when I was in Canada, I would wear I had like about 6 of these kind of outfits, and I had some African outfits and all kinds of stuff that I just wear. I just loved wearing diverse clothes, especially in Canada, because it's such a diverse country. And at any rate, it reminds me of a joke, though. I'll start off with the joke. There's a guy, this is back in Vietnam, time of Vietnam War, and there's a soldier flying up in a helicopter way, way up high. He's way, way up high in this big open-air helicopter, and this mortar shells start hitting around the helicopter, and it jars him out of the helicopter, and he starts falling. And he doesn't have a parachute. And as he's falling, he's just immediately going, "Oh, Lord Jesus Christ, please deliver me from this evil. Please, Lord Jesus Christ, deliver me from this evil." And he just keeps falling. So he kind of had just picked up unity pretty soon, so he starts saying, "I am not falling, I am not falling, I am not falling, I am not falling." And then all of a sudden he starts thinking back to his world religion classes in college, and he's calling out Abraham and Muhammad, Lao Tzu, Krishna. He's going through all of them, and so finally he's just figured, well, this is it, and he just makes his peace with dying. And as he's falling, as he makes that peace, all of a sudden it hits him. He says, "Wait a minute, this is Vietnam. This is a Buddhist country." So as he's falling, he assumes a lotus position. And he starts affirming, "Oh, great Buddha, if you deliver me from this trouble, I will believe in you forever." And all of a sudden, a great big brown hand swoops out of the sky and catches him. And he looks up, and there is this gigantic mountain of a Buddha beatifically smiling at him. He looks at him and he says, "Jesus Christ." It's not really like that, but it's a good joke. So I'm talking on the second principle today, which is in unity, which is the Christ, which is we're made in the image and likeness of God. So first of all, that's a real important, one of the things that's first important to remember is that we are made in the image and likeness of God, not vice versa. Because that's really how religions and most of humankind is formed, is we see God as some sort of image coming from us. I mean, can you see how God became like for Western society, especially this old white man with a white beard, like a divine father? Because we thought that would be the great image for God. It's not. It's a harsh image. In fact, I go to 12-step groups, and some people, all they do is they say the only way they can talk about higher power is like within the group, like the way the group treats them. And that's because there was no cross-talking in the group. There was respect. And that's a nice place to be, isn't it? When you're with people and they're not talking about what you say, and they're allowing you to be who you are. And that group concept is a much higher concept of God than the old white bearded guy, especially the stern guy. And it has all these limitations. When you come into unity, we talked last week about this, your concept of God is really important because, we say, even if you look at your program, it says there under the first principle, what does it say? It says, God is the source and creator of all absolute good everywhere present. Everywhere. Do you see an asterisk there on everywhere, like except for Adolf Hitler and my mother-in-law? No, it's not there. Everywhere present, even in the stuff we don't like or abhor, God is everywhere present. That's really important because then we can start to see how we're created in God's image and likeness. I guess I need that clicker too. Yeah, because I'm going to probably do some things here with it. I just push the arrows, right? Okay. When it comes to who we are, for me, the best description I can say is, I am that I am. Or I like this one too, I will be whom I will be, or what I will be. I will be whom I will be. That's a good one, isn't it? I will be whom I will be. Wouldn't that be great? When I was growing up with my mom, she said, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. I go, Mom, I will be whom I will be. Yeah. Because that's how much God loves me. I can be whom I will be. Not something, but I will be whom I will be, and all of it works. We also say that this is the Christ, the child of God, the observer, is the same sense of that. If we're talking about what our nature would be, we have to take it as the child of God, that we are love, light, peace, order, wholeness, oneness. That's who we are. And if we're not seeing that, we're missing something. It's not wrong, but we are missing something. We're missing something. A part of what, I'll get in this I'm going to use some of this book here. This is Lessons in Truth by Emily Cady, who wrote this book. She was a female doctor like 130, 40 years ago, which by itself is something amazing. 130 years ago. She wrote this book was published 124 years ago. Truth book. It was next to the Bible, it was the Bible of unity. Still is for most of us, a lot of us. Some people kind of threw it out and said, well, we need something a little more trendy. I myself don't really like the trend so much because it misses things that Emily Cady really hit as far as who we are, our divine nature. So when I stand up here and I say, I am the living Christ, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. You're looking at the living Christ standing right here. I will be whom I will be. And if you look in a mirror, you're going to see the living Christ as well. And if you look at your neighbor, you're going to see the living Christ as well. No matter how well they're seemingly acting, they are the living Christ, the light of the world. One of the things that's really important when you're practicing a sense of who you are is I learned this in ministerial school from a teacher of mine named Ed Rabel. He used to say, be careful what you attach your sense of I am to. Be careful of that. And the reason why you be careful of that, is that going to harm you? Is that going to mess up your spiritual evolution? No. But will it cause you pain? Yes. It will cause you pain and suffering. How you attach your sense of I am. And interestingly enough, in this world, it's really mandatory that you do that. People insist upon it. All conversation seems to go around it. Social acceptance is all about it. But I would remind you, there's a great quote, and it says, sometimes a majority simply means that all the fools are on the same side. We don't live in a bad society, but we do live in an insane one. It's bat bleep crazy. It is. It's insane. People think that they are who they are, manipulating everything around, and they think that's who they are. And that is insane. You don't get out of this world with that mindset. When you leave this world, it's like all that thing about I'm manipulating this, I own this, I made this. It's like the diviner of all says, all that's going. You don't get out of here with that. All that garbage is going. All attachment with I am is gone. That can happen now too. We can die now to who we think we are. We attach ourselves to a name. Remember, again, I like 12-step groups, and I like that they say, they'll always say, not always, but a number of them will say, I am so-and-so, my name. I always say, my name is, or I just say my name. And then when addicts do that, they say, I'm an alcoholic. No, they're not. They think they're an alcoholic because they've attached to it. Are they demonstrating alcoholic behavior? Is it messing their lives up? Oh, yeah. But are they an alcoholic? Well, if you buy that position, you're going to be guaranteed some major duty suffering. Because you are not. You cannot be an alcoholic and the light of the world at the same time. Ain't going to happen. The light of the world is free. It's like you get on stage and play the alcoholic and you say, yeah, I do that really well. And then you say, and that's who I am. I like this role. I play it, come every Sunday, 4 to 6. I'm here. I do it well. Also, when people come up to me and they say that, they say, well, you do this. I say, I know, I play it well. Come again, 4 to 6, I'll do it some more. It's not who I am. It's a role I play in this world. The name, who I think I am Dale. Though I'm not Dale. You know, what happened? My parents sat around and went, well, we're naming all our kids, middle name WD. Let's call him, we got David's, well, my brother's got David. Let's call him Dale. And their name, they decided, was Blackford. Guess they like cars, I don't know. So I became Dale Blackford. But I'm not Dale Blackford. I'm the light of the world. Have been, always will be. I'm not the sex, I'm not male or female. I play it. But I have all the qualities within me. I manifest male. Now we're living in a society where people are manifesting all kinds of variations of that, aren't they? You bet. Career, am I a minister? Well, no. Am I retired? No. People say, what do you do? I go, that's a question. I'll give you that. That's a question. I don't want to answer it. What am I? What do you do? I don't know. Right now, I'm talking to you. And breathing. I think heart's going too. But I'm not something. So again, in language, how does that work? You go, if you're an architect, describe what you do as an architect. If you're a babysitter, I like to take care of children. You're not a babysitter. You like to take care of children. You're actually not a wife or a husband either. You kind of like this person. You like hanging around with them. You said some vows and said, let's do it some more. For now, that's really what's going on. The rest is all just stuff. Just stuff, which will cause you pain if you attach to it. Guaranteed. Even a mother. You're not a mother to your son. I mean, look at the big ones. Jesus. Jesus, what does he do? He's on the cross and he says, bye, Ma. Grab somebody else. I got something else going on here. I'm done being your son. I got a bigger thing going right now. You go, well, why would he do that? Because he was led to do that, to be who he was. He was the living Christ, just like you are. You can't be attached to anyone and be the light of the world because you're already attached to everyone. Everyone. A body, I'm fit, I'm fat, I'm tall, I'm short, I'm complete, I'm lacking. All that kind of stuff you can attach to. Also you can attach to a mind, on my thoughts, on my beliefs. And the stories I tell about myself. The best friends I have are the ones that don't believe my stories. They are. They're the ones that go, I say something like what I think is true, and they go, my friend Larry Davis, who passed on about 3 years ago, I used to hate him for this, and I really loved him about it. I'd say something, he'd say, really? And how did you come up with that idea? And I go, he's the same guy when somebody came up who was an old friend of mine, being real jovial and everything. We're sitting having coffee, and the friend comes up and says, Dale, haven't seen you for a long time, and starts talking about things, and it goes about 5 minutes, and I'm loving it. And about 5 minutes later, he says, well, I'm sorry, I hope I didn't interrupt you. And Larry goes, but matter of fact, you did, and I don't like it. Love that guy. Love that guy. He wasn't a polite man sometimes, but he was a real person. He was a real soul. a mind, emotions. I'm happy, I'm sad. We're not any of those things. They come through us like winds and stuff like that. You can feel sadness, maybe, I don't know. Even if you drop the labels, you don't even know if you feel sadness. You know, you'd be crying, go, why? You feel sad? And I go, I don't know, I don't know. I just feel. Nobody can tell you to get over that if you don't even know what you're feeling. Just say, I don't know, I'm just feeling. Rich conditions, those are the big ones. Rich, poor, healthy, sick, lost, found, open, closed, safe, in danger. When we attach our sense of I am to that, we create a situation that we're struggling with, and pain and suffering, which answers the question of if God is so beautiful and so good, why is there so much pain and suffering? That's quite simple, because we like it. It's great drama. We like control more than we like being at peace. We like having a sense that we know where life goes more than just throwing ourselves out there and seeing where it happens. And when people say, what's going on? You go, I don't know, but it's something. Helen Keller said, what? Your life is either what is it? I forget the word. Life is, well, it's like an adventure or nothing. That's the way she said it. She had an adjective for it I liked. It was even greater than that. It's like out there adventure. A piece. Listen, I'm a piece. I'm a piece of a community. I'm a piece of society. I'm a piece of a circle of friends or a family. Or I'm a piece of influence or awareness. No. You're the light of the world. Did you know that there's only one real light of the world? Like when in the Bible where it says, He was the only begotten Son of God. Do you know why that is? Because it's us. And you'll know this if you see as an observer, if you actually watch life, you can actually get clear enough to stop the noise, to watch life, just see life. You start to realize that. You realize that you're looking through the one aperture. You realize that you see that you're connected to all, that you're not seeing life of yourself. You are actually seeing it of the whole of yourself, but you and I are one. We are one, and we see it that way. So we are the living Christ. We're not who we pretend to be. This is Emily Cady in Lessons in Truth. Heretofore, through ignorance of our real selves and of the results of our thinking, we have let our thoughts flow at random. Our minds have been turned toward the external of our being, and nearly all our information has been gotten through our five senses. We have thought wrong because misinformed by these senses, and our troubles and our sorrows are the results of our wrong thinking. We make our sense of identity based on what our experience is. That's why an alcoholic will say, I am an alcoholic. It's a powerful experience that is with them, they think, all the time, so they identify as the alcoholic. Each of us on this planet identify as victims to the world. If you're not identifying as a victim to the world, you'd have a hard time maintaining manifestation. You really would. You know, was one monk, I forget who it was, a monk who said that he'd go into his enlightened soul, and he'd go in, his housekeeper would be making soup, and he'd go in there and just start fussing around the pot, and she'd say, you know, for an enlightened soul, you sure, I don't get it, because you are just always around the soup. You just can't leave it alone. He goes, that's the only thing that's keeping me here. It's the only thing that's it's like it was his ground to stay in the world, because he was seeing everything. Now, you and I are like that too. Everyone who's ever lived in this world has experienced that, because when you die, that's the only thing you get to take with you is your sense of who you are. And you awaken to that. When my father got ready to die, and I thought because he'd lost his leg, and he died 5-6 hours later. They amputated his leg, and he said to me, Dale, first time he ever showed fear in his life, he said, Dale, first time, absolutely first time. He said to me, Dale, he says, I never thought it would be so hard. And I thought he was talking about losing his leg and what was going to happen. And he was gone in 6 hours. And I realized he wasn't talking about his leg. He was talking about letting go. How hard it was for a man who had held on all his life to everything. And God shows up as the Spirit in a way and says, guess what? You're letting it all go now. And he goes, well, wait a minute, I can't. And he says, no, you're not hearing me. You're letting go of it all now. Now. Not tomorrow, not after you meet with your therapist, not after another relationship. Now. Right this moment, you let it go. And it's beautiful, but it doesn't feel like it's beautiful for us because, again, it's the control. Katie, again, I think I'm going to pull something else out of Katie here. Well, she said this, in our outspringing from God into the material world, spirit is inner, one with God. Soul, and soul and unity, soul isn't really what a lot of Christians call soul. A lot of times when Christians talk about soul, they're really talking about spirit. We call soul, this basically it's personality. It's the sum total of your thinking and your feeling. Who you think you are. Not who you are, but who you think you are. Who you're immersed in thinking you are in the world. Okay, so the spirit is inner, one with God. Soul is the clothing, soul is the closing, as it were, of the spirit. And the body is the external clothing of the soul. It's just layers of it. That's how we live in this world. This one I like too. She says, if you are one who seeks and expects to get any realizing knowledge of spiritual things through argument or reasoning, that's our number one way, by the way. I mean, unless you do experience, do you come into experience and then go, no arguing, no reasoning here, I'm just going to explore it. Arguing, if you are one who seeks and expects to get any realizing knowledge of spiritual things through argument or reasoning, no matter how scholarly your attainments or how great you are in worldly wisdom, you are a failure in spiritual understanding. You are attempting an utter impossibility, that of crowding the infinite into the quart measure of your intellectual capacity. I love that. The quart measure of your intellectual capacity, crowd the infinite. You are the infinite. You are. That is who you are. In Lessons in Truth, that's what she talks about. In Unity, that's really what the Fillmores and the whole Unity is based on. I like this one's pretty cool too. I think I got one here from Fillmore. Yeah, this is from Charles Fillmore from his book Jesus Christ Heals. I love this quote. He says, "Man is the vessel of God and expresses God, but there is a mighty difference between the inanimate marble chiseled by the sculptor into a prancing steed and the living, breathing horse consciously willing to be guided by the master's rein. The difference is like, what are you making of you in your life is the first part. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not who you are. It's the roles that you're carving out in this worldly experience. That's what it is. But who you are is the one that allows itself to be a living, breathing Christ that's allowed to be expressed in the world. God lets you. That's why he said with children, like they were the first in the kingdom of heaven, because they haven't learned very well how to be adults yet. They're still going like, oh, I'm the prince, I'm the princess, I'm everything, I'm just doing it all. I'm just flowing with everything. They're not sitting there going like, well, really, am I really flowing with everything? I mean, don't I have to have a real crown? This is just a paper one. I don't know about this. They're not doing that. Another thing that Katie said that I love comes to mind. Where is that one at? This one. Listen to this one. This is from On Thinking. She says, mortal mind, the term so much used and so distracting to many, is the error consciousness which gathers its information from the outside world through the five senses. We talked about it. It is what Paul calls, St. Paul, the mind of flesh in contradistinction to spiritual mind. And he flatly says, the mind of flesh, and she's adding, believing what the carnal mind says, is death, sorrow, trouble, sickness, etc. But the mind of the Spirit, she says, the ability to still the carnal mind and let the Spirit speak within us, is life and peace. Life and peace. For The light of the world. Yeah. Jesus doesn't even have to know how to raise the dead. Do you know that? He didn't even know how to... we think we don't know how to do our taxes. He doesn't even have to know how to raise the dead. He hears the Spirit saying, they say, oh, he's dead, Lazarus dead, Lazarus dead. And Jesus is like, yeah, okay. He's kind of like at the wedding. And I get that. And he hears the Father, or what he calls God with him, say, go with them. And he goes with them. And when he gets there, he hears the voice within himself that says, speak these words. And he speaks the words, and he comes out from the dead. And every time, if you ask Jesus who did it, who does he say did it? The Father. He doesn't do the miracles. He doesn't sit there like we would, like, oh, it's like Star Trek, where Star Trek going, oh, you're sick? Hold on a second. Praise God. No. It's showing up if you're guided to show up. And if you're not guided to show up, somebody says, well, you're supposed to heal them. You say, well, I guess not, because I didn't show up. But if I'm show up there, that's the interesting. What if you show up and you get the words, you get the guidance to speak the word? Can you speak the word in the face of what your mind says is going on? She ends this saying, the Spirit within you is divine mind, the real mind. Without it, this is a great statement. She says, without it, the human mind would disappear. Just as a shadow disappears when the real thing that casts it is removed. All this stuff all this stuff that I'm talking about is not to say you shouldn't be in your physical mind and you shouldn't be in your mental, emotional mind. That's already happening. That's a given. What does Jesus say? One of my favorite teachings of his is the one that says, you will know the truth and the truth will make you free. I've said this before. You will know the truth and the truth will make you free. It does not say, and he has no action that says, you will know the truth and then you need to figure out how to use that to be free. Because we don't know how to do that. No, he says, all you need to do is know the truth, look at it, accept it, and it will make you free. For instance, if you come out of this talk and you haven't heard this before and you're sitting there in your carnal world or in your world of mind manipulation and you hear that and you realize that you are the light of God, all you have to know is that you are the light of God and that the light of God frees you. It frees you. Not you, it frees you to be who you are, which is the child of God. We are the child of God. Gosh, I'm done, I think. Looks like the time's all up. Last thing I guess I'll say is that on this chart too, I like these quotes. Jesus said this. He said, you are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Talking about us. He also says, in his famous talk on John, this is it's like his goodbye talk. He says, he's talking about the people that he's been with. And he says, they are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. Just as my dad was not of the world, and it scared him. It scared him at first because he said, I'm really trying to hold on to this world. Well, you can't hold on to the world, and you're not supposed to. And it's safe to let go of it. It's like jumping in a big swimming pool. At some point, you just got to jump in. And if you don't, the nice thing is Holy Spirit will walk behind you and go, oops, and kick you in. Because there's no way you can avoid being in. There's no way. And if anyone tells you that you can, gosh, have them talk to me. I'd be glad to listen to them for hours upon hours upon hours and go, my, that's interesting. Because you're free. That's what this unity is about, that God is everywhere present. God is love in every form, and you are the child of God. So when the affirmation comes up and says that you can begin again, start fresh and anew, you better believe it, because there's no time or space, and God loves you, and God just wants to see you know that too. You can start again just to know who you are. You haven't done anything wrong. I think when they say people die and you see your life before you, You know, he flashes before you when you die. My hunch is it isn't one where you look and go, oh. I think you're just kind of looking at it and going like, I didn't see any of that in that light. I didn't see any of that in that light. Wow. I was a living miracle. I am a living miracle. Everyone around me is living miracles. Everything was a miracle. It wasn't what I thought it was. Wow. Because that's the only way you get out, is by knowing that truth. Thank you for listening.